This insert is brought to you with the compliments of Radio Cape Pulpit.
Denise Padayachee is in the studio again, and we're talking about the beautiful book of Acts. And this is a practical guide to accessing the miracle power of God. Now, Denise has written this book, and we're working through it by doing it as a series. And I can tell you there's nothing that you can leave out. And after each session, there's really a few points that you need to go and meditate on. So it's a very practical guide, and it will definitely take you from, like the young people would say, from a loser to a winner. Yeah, to really be not a pauper but a prince. So, Denise, today we're moving forward with whose kingdom you are building anyway. I'm just thinking sometimes we get involved in ministry and we want to serve the pastor or the preacher and the leader, and we want to get favor with them, so we will be serving them and doing whatever they want to do. And we must remember that we will get hurt in church then, because there is a point where you will not be doing what the leader wanted, what they felt you should have been doing. And that's why if your intent is different, the reason why you're doing it. And I think this is what you're going to touch on. So tell us about that.
Yes. I think it's whatever you're doing, to do it unto God. Paul even said that. Whatever your hand finds to do it unto God. And we have that famous example of if you're washing dishes, wash it to the glory of God. But it's when we are mindful of building the kingdom of God, we're looking at the bigger picture. I think it was the first or second week, Wanda, we spoke about living from the 3 chairs. And the 3 chairs can be described as chair number 1, the kingdom of God, chair number 2, the kingdom of man or self, and chair number 3, the kingdom of this world. So the question of whose kingdom are you building comes back to, well, what chair are you living from? Because that's the kingdom you're building.
That's very important. We're moving on to some of the mandates as supernatural heirs of the kingdom. That's super exciting, and I can see you also excited, getting ready there in your seat. So let's talk about it. To break down the sacred-secular divide, what is this about?
I think it's a big thing in our generation. So like we spoke about one of the earlier sessions, part of our calling is to be an apostolic generation, which has the spirit of breakthrough on it, which is a pioneering generation. But what that means is right now we've got to take responsibility, not just for church, but for kingdom, which is church in its fullness, church everywhere. And it's up to us as heirs of the kingdom to stop saying this is spiritual and that isn't. This field, or this is church and that isn't. And we need to begin to break down. I'm not going against the institution of church. I'm not going against any of that. But what I'm saying is we need to see law as kingdom and education as kingdom. And it's part of our responsibility to break down that divide.
Bring the kingdom, make the earth like heaven.
Yes.
So are you saying that it can be heaven on earth?
It can be. And I think that's what God intended when He called us to be sons and daughters. We are ambassadors of a heavenly kingdom on earth, which means that we have access, unlimited access actually, to the blueprints of heaven, to the ideas, to the thoughts. And we're meant to bring the kingdom. He even taught us to pray, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven.
Oh, come on. So if God said it's possible, He wouldn't say pray for it, but I'm not going to give it to you anyway. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So the society we live in can be divided into what is commonly referred to as the 7 mountains of society. That's very interesting. Tell us about that.
So the 7 mountains of society is the areas of influence in society, and it can't be boxed, but we can broadly break it down into categories of religion and faith or church, family, education, government, the media, arts, entertainment, and what we call business or the marketplace. So we can broadly break it down into those sectors. What we're meant to do is make all of those areas look like heaven. So imagine that in arts and entertainment. Imagine the kingdom coming there. Or imagine that in education. What is God's idea of education? And what we're saying is, okay, let's wake up to the reality that we are called to be heavenly ambassadors and to bring that kind of thinking down to transform earth.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I've often saw this picture, or in sort of try to see what it would look like if God holds out His promises to us and we turn away, and He sort of lets His hands down and say, "But how many times do I have to tell you that I'm your Father, that I want to give this to you, but you keep on doubting it, that you are not worth it?" All of that, and we are walking right past what we could have had, our potential.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. We feel so unworthy, and we're spending generations trying to come to the revelation that we were worthy enough for Him to send His Son.
Yeah,
So
really. Yeah. And I can imagine also, the moment that you would stand still and take what He's offering you, where He's holding out His hands.
Yes.
I can imagine the angels and the
delights.
choirs and the dancing, and because my child trusted me.
Exactly.
I've waited, and my child eventually at last trusted me.
Yes.
Would that not be amazing to actually witness that?
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
And then the potential of co-laboring with Him. That's also beautiful.
Everything will be aligned. No high horses.
That's right.
We will all be servants and working to His glory. To see the redemptive purpose of things and call that into being. And that is part of the mandate of being a supernatural heir of the kingdom.
Yes. So what I mean there is that everything at the moment is not quite where it should be in the kingdom. So every culture, every nation, and what we need to look with is prophetic eyes as heirs of the kingdom to see the gold in it. And there's always something redemptive. For example, every culture has something redemptive. Every nation has something redemptive. In the same way, every mountain or sphere of influence in society has something redemptive. And part of our responsibility as heirs of the kingdom is to see that and to bring that into fullness. For example, right now, technology and arts, those are big things and big areas that need Christians who will go in and redeem those things. And not just redeem it, but advance it for the kingdom.
And also say what is wrong and what is right.
Yes.
Don't just go with the flow because it's arts
That's right.
and because it's whatever.
But redefine the arts. What is
Right.
kingdom art?
Yeah. Come on, let's change it.
Yeah.
Take back what really belongs to God. So to reveal and restore beauty. Now, beauty is a part of the kingdom.
Yes. And I think one of the descriptions of God is beautiful. And everything He made is beautiful. And that's one of the things we're meant to restore again is beauty. And sometimes we see beauty as weakness or as lesser or as the female thing, but it's not that at all. Beauty is incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. And where the enemy is bringing evil and celebrating what's ugly and what's evil, we need to restore back just what's beautiful.
And if we look again at the mandate that we as heirs of the kingdom have, we're also looking at Queen Sheba.
Yes.
And from that flows the world's needs and answers and interpretations and how we should deal with that. So tell us a story about the Queen of Sheba.
So what I find interesting there, Wanda, is that the Queen of Sheba was so attracted to what Solomon had built. So she loved everything. And I love that in this whole story, one of the things I say is the mundane touched by heaven can reveal God. So she loved the way his cupbearers were dressed, the way they did their work. One of the things she loved was the staircase. And the staircase always enamored me because it said that Solomon had built a staircase to ascend to the house of the Lord to inquire of the Lord. And one day what I felt God say is that the world cannot build a staircase to inquire of the Lord, but we can through our history with God and through our relationship with God. So every time there's a problem which needs a godly solution, we can ascend that staircase in a way. We can go in our history and we can answer the questions that the kings, the rulers are asking in this day and age. We have a history with God. We have a staircase with God.
Yeah, that's well said. I've never thought of that. I think I'm going to get this conversation and get it from the broadcast, and I will most certainly go and listen to it over and over because this is really special.
The challenges.
Absolutely. Hey. So you also say that they cannot steward the mysteries of kingdom, but
Yes,
we can.
we
That's
can.
important.
And how profound is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's the heirs of the kingdom who get to steward the mysteries. And that's part of it. It says God's hidden the mysteries, but it's for kings to search them out. We get to do that. So everything that has a question mark on it and what we're experiencing in society, with their solutions that God has.
When we toured overseas, a bunch of singers that went to minister there, we were in one of the countries in Europe. We saw these churches, and one of the churches had it was plated with gold.
Yes.
And incredible artwork. And I remember one of them made the remark and said, "But you know, they made such an effort, and it was so unnecessary, and we could just serve God." And it just came to my mind to say, but this was his way of saying, I love God.
Wow.
This was my dedication. This is what I have. This is what I could do to demonstrate that. And the Queen of Sheba had exactly the same experience.
That is such a good, that's a brilliant example. The same experience, she saw God in it.
So even in the mundane, touched by heaven, can reveal God. That's amazing. So before we end this session, there's a last thing that you warn us. You say, beware of being too quick to respond. And let's close with that.
Yes. I think that we've lost the beauty of waiting on God. We're very quick to provide an answer. So the moment there's a question, we provide the answer. But if we take a moment to wait on God, true God solutions would come. That's what they did in the old days.
Absolutely. Give us some activations for the week so that we can go and meditate on that.
Okay. Activation number 1, dream with God about what the marketplace or whatever sphere you're involved in, whether it's education or medicine, dream with God about what that sphere will look like when His kingdom comes. When His kingdom comes there. And then question number 2, ask God to show you some things He's doing in our generation and what role He's inviting you to play in that. And I would challenge you to make a record of what He shows you, because it'll give you purpose and direction.
Amazing. So these are the words of Denise Padayachee. It's written all in a book, the Book of Acts, a practical guide to accessing the miracle power of God, written by Denise. You can also find this book on the website of Christian Literature Fund Publishers. Go and have a look there. We know them as CLF. And then also visit Denise's website. It's wellstraining.co. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wanda.